Hey guys, I'm T and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, we make trendy and fun crochet tutorials twice a week, and if you haven't already, smash that like button, drop a comment down below, and subscribe to join in on the fun. In today's tutorial, we're making a new spin on a familiar make to create the cutest peplum around. Speaking of, if you're a fan of peplum tops or prefer making something different, you are in the right place. We have hundreds of modern crochet tutorials and patterns, with even more dropping twice weekly, so consider clicking the bell to subscribe and you'll never miss an upload. Also, do me a huge favor and give this video a big thumbs up if you like it, or 2 thumbs down if you don't. Either way, it's a great way to show support so I can keep putting out free tutorials every Wednesday and Sunday. Now, it's time to get on the show, so without further ado. For this project, any category 4 yarn will work, but I used a total of 445 grams of yarn. That's 990 yards if you're stateside. As for tools, a 5 and 6mm hook, scissors, stitch markers, and a tape measure. There is a written pattern down below. Use offer code TCDDIY for a discount off any $9.99 plus order. Enter this week's pattern giveaway by telling us the longest you've ever kept your hair. My current length is the longest I've ever had it, and I do want it to be longer, so we'll see where it goes. Details for the giveaway down below. We're using 4 stitches for this project, and they'll be as follows. Chain, slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. This tutorial is made for size small, but you can adjust it for your size and explain how to in the video, so let's get started. Getting this top started, we're all going to grab our category 4 yarn and make a slip knot. Then we're all going to grab our 5mm hook and start off by making a chain the height that we like for the waistband to be. Now I'd like for mine to be just about 1.5 inches or 3 centimeters, so I'm going to start by making a chain 8. Now that we have our chain, we're all going to block off that last chain and do a chain 1. Now chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch, that's our turning chain. Then into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook, insert with a slip stitch. So insert your hook. When we have these 2 loops on our hook, yarn over and gently pull through both loops. So there's one, there's the second. We want to make sure that we're not tugging too tightly, otherwise the following rows will be too tight to work into. Again, into that next chain, insert, yarn over, gently pull through both, and continue with 1 slip stitch into every chain. Our row 1 is now complete. Getting started on row 2, we're going to chain 1, flip our work, and do a back loop slip stitch row. So finding the first stitch from our previous row, we're going to insert into that back loop, or the loop that's furthest away from us, then yarn over and gently pull through both loops on our hook. Again, into that next stitch, insert in through that back loop, yarn over, gently pull through both. From here, continue with 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. Then when we reach the end of the row, chain 1, flip our work, and repeat. For the waistband, we're going to be continuing to repeat our back loop slip stitch row with no increases and no decreases until we have a portion that can stretch, remembering that it does have a decent amount of stretch to it around the widest part of our bust. And it does need to end in multiples of 3, but once we have that, I will meet you guys back. We are back and my waistband is complete. I have a total of 111 rows. My length is roughly 17 inches or 43 centimeters unstretched. Now from here, we're going to seam it up. So what we're going to do is fold our work in half, then insert our hook into the corner stitch of both the front and the back panel. We're now going to be doing an outside loop slip stitch seam. So all we're going to do, now that our hook is in through both corners, we're going to yarn over and pull through everything on our hook. Then start by finding the first stitch within the front panel and insert only in through that front loop. Then find that next stitch into the back panel and insert only in through that back loop. Then when we have these 3 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. Again, into that next stitch into the front panel, insert into that front loop. Next stitch into the back panel, insert into that back loop, pull through all 3, and that's it. Continue this until we don't have any more stitches left to work into. Then I'll meet you back. Now that our seam is complete, we're going to do a single crochet row along the edge of our waistband. So what we're going to do is chain 1 and simply put 1 single crochet into every side row. So finding our first side row, mine is this raised row right here. I'm going to find that top loop, insert my hook, and insert with just one single crochet. Next, finding my following side row, which is this divot right here for me, find that top loop and insert with another single. Let's do that again. My next side row is this raised row. I'm going to find that top loop and insert with a single. This is my next side row, which is this divot, find that top loop and insert with a single. And that's it. Continue with one single crochet into every side row, making our way all the way around. 2 quick tips. Number 1, we should end up with the same amount of stitches as rows that we made. And number 2, this single crochet row is going to be as wide as this portion can stretch. So once when you slip stitched into that chain space, try and repeat, making sure that the single crochet row isn't too tight. If it is, reduce some stitches with a looser grip, or if it's too loose, reduce some stitches with a tighter grip, and then I'll meet you back. Our single crochet row is complete. Now we're going to get started with the basket weave detail, and that's going to start with a half double crochet row. So right after we've slip stitched into that chain space, we're all going to chain 2. All we're going to do is yarn over into that first stitch, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3. Once more, yarn over into that next stitch, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3. Continue with one half double crochet into every stitch. I've made my way around with my half double crochet row. Now we're going to close it off by slip stitching into that second chain that we made when we started this row. So we're going to count up 1, count up 2. Into that second chain, insert with a slip stitch, and now this row is complete. Now one really quick tip. That slip stitch that we just did will look like an additional stitch, but it actually doesn't count as one, it's just to connect. Now to get started on the actual basket weave detail, chain 2 and flip. Our basket weave detail is going to be fairly simple. It's going to be 3 front posts, 3 back posts, and then make our way all the way around. So to do our first set of 3 front post double crochets, yarn over. We're all going to find that first half double crochet from our previous row, not that chain 2. That chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch. So finding the first half double crochet, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook underneath the body of that half double crochet, and bring it through the other side. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through, then yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That is our first front post double crochet. Let's do that again. Yarn over. Into that next stitch, insert your hook underneath that gap, underneath the body of that next half double, and through the other side. Then yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We have one more left to do because remember they're worked in sets of 3, so yarn over, underneath the body of that following half double, through the other side, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we should all have 3 front post double crochets. Now we're going to do 3 back posts. So yarn over, bring our hook underneath our work, then over that next available half double crochet. So bring your hook underneath, over the body of that next half double, and through the other side. Then yarn over and pull through, then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Again, yarn over. Bring your hook underneath our work, over the body of that next half double crochet, through the other side and pull through, then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We have one more back post left to do, so yarn over. Hook goes underneath our work, in through that next gap, over the body of that next half double crochet, and through the other side. Then yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now all together we should have 3 front post and 3 back post double crochets. We're going to be repeating these sets, making our way all the way around, so let's just do the next set together. Getting started on our next set of 3 front post double crochets, yarn over. Finding that next available half double crochet, bring your hook underneath the body, through the other side with a front post double. Again, yarn over, underneath that following half double crochet, through the other side, pull through 2, pull through 2. Then once more, yarn over, underneath the body, pull through 2, pull through 2. Now let's do 3 back posts, yarn over, Bring your hook underneath your work, over that next half double, through the other side, pull through 2, pull through 2. Then again, yarn over, underneath our work, over that next half double, through the other side and pull through 2, pull through 2. And once more, yarn over, underneath our work, over that next half double, pull through 2, pull through 2. And that's it. From here, continue to repeat our 3 front posts and 3 back posts. And once we've completed our row, slip stitch into the second chain that we made, then we'll meet back. We are back. We have just completed our first basket weave row, or our row 2, keeping in mind we are not going to count that single crochet row. Now we're going to get started on our row 3, so chain 2 and flip. Now the following row may be a little bit different for everyone, but for every odd number row, we're now going to be doing what the previous row's stitches look like. So we are going to be extending those stitches. So since I did a chain 2 and flipped my work, my first set of stitches look like 3 back posts, so I will be doing 3 back posts. But if yours look like 3 front posts, that's fine. You will be doing 3 front posts. Let's just do our first 6 stitches together. Like I said, mine look like 3 back, so I will be doing 3 back posts. So yarn over. Underneath the body of that first stitch, through the other side, with my first back post, again with my second back post, and with my third back post. Now my next set should look like the opposite, so 3 front posts for me, but if yours look like 3 back posts, you'll be doing 3 back posts. So just to do the next 3 stitches together, which mine are 3 front posts, there's 1, there is 2, and there is 3. Now continue to extend our previous row stitches, making our way all the way around, and then I'll meet you back. So we are back. We have just completed our first 3 rows for our basket weave detail. Now getting started on our row 4, we're going to chain 2 and flip. Now getting started on an even number row. We are now going to be doing the opposite from what our previous row's stitches look like. So, since my first 3 stitches look like 3 front posts, to do the opposite, I'll be now doing 3 back posts. But if yours look like 3 back posts, you will be doing 3 front posts. So let's just get the first 3 stitches started. Mine are 3 back posts. You do your first 3. Here is 1. Here is 2. And here is 3. Back post for me. Now my next set look like 3 back posts, so I will now be doing 3 front posts. But if your next stitches look like 3 front posts, you will be doing 3 back posts. So to do the next 3 stitches, here is my first, here is my second, and my third stitch of 3 front posts. Now from here, continue to do the opposite from what our previous row stitches look like to reach the end of the row. Our row 4 is now complete. Now we're going to get started on our row 5, so chain 2 and flip. Now since we're about to get started on our row 5, for every odd number row, we're going to be extending our previous row stitches. So for me, since my first set of stitches look like 3 front posts, I'll be doing 3 front posts, but if yours look like 3 back posts, you'll be doing 3 back. Just to do our first set of stitches together, here is my first, here is my second, and here is my third stitch. Then my next set of stitches look like 3 back, so I'll be doing 3 back. But if yours look like 3 front posts, you will be doing 3 front posts. Then from here, we're just going to continue to extend our previous row of stitches, making our way all the way around. We are back. I have just completed my row 5. From here, it is going to be a repeat of rows 2 through 5 until we get the height of this top portion that we'd like. So placing this waistband right underneath our breast, we're going to continue to repeat rows 2 through 5, making sure that we're leaving at least 1 inch underneath our underarm for the top band that we're going to have. But I'll meet you back once we complete an odd number row, and then we get started on the top band. We are back. I have just completed the entirety of my basket weave detail, and I have a total of 13 rows. Remember, that is not counting the first single crochet row. This total height is roughly 4 inches or 10 centimeters, or my total height is 5.5 inches or 14 centimeters. Now we're going to get started on the top band, And I'm just going to get started by making a chain 6 right after we've done our slip stitch. I'm going to make a chain 6 because you only want 1 inch or 2 centimeters for the top band. Now that we've made our chain, we're going to do our slip stitch row all the way down. Simply block off that last chain and do a chain 1. Into that chain that we blocked off for the second chain from our hook, insert with a slip stitch. And since we already know how to do our slip stitches, put 1 slip stitch into every chain, remembering not to tug too tightly. So we've made our way down with our slip stitch row. Now we're going to connect it into the base. So just making sure that our work is still flipped right side out, right side up. Find that next available stitch into the base. Insert with a slip stitch. So pull through everything. And that slip stitch into the base doesn't actually count as a stitch, that's just to connect. Then to work our way up to the following row, slip stitch into that next available stitch into the base. Still doesn't count as a stitch, and flip our work. From here, put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. So just to do this together, finding the first stitch from our previous row, not into any of those slip stitches into the base, put 1 back loop slip stitch into there, and continue with 1 back loop slip into every stitch. At the end of the row, chain 1, flip our work, put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch again, and I'll meet you back at the end of our row 3. We've just completed our first 3 rows. Now just to connect it into the base, it's going to be done the same way. Find that next stitch into the base, insert with a slip stitch, doesn't count as a stitch. Then to work our way up to the following row, slip stitch into that next stitch into the base, still doesn't count as a stitch, and repeat. Continue to repeat our 2 previous rows with no increases and no decreases. We don't have any more stitches left to work into. I'll meet you back to seam it up. We are back. We have just finished up making our way all the way around with our top band. Now what we're all going to do from here is seam it, but I've already went ahead and seamed it because it's going to be the same seam as our bottom band. So just to talk you guys through it, make sure that our work is still flipped right side out, right side up. Then we're going to do the same outside loop slip stitch seam that we did for the bottom band. When we don't have any more stitches left to work into, do a chain up of 1 and cut. So now that the top band is seamed, we're ready to get started on the peplum. So first things first, making sure that our work is still flipped right side out, right side up, we are going to be inserting our hook into any one of the side rows that we have along the bottom of our piece, so along the waistband. Then we're going to insert our yarn onto our hook and we're going to do a single crochet row. So we're going to pull our working yarn through, do a chain up of 1 just to secure, and start with 1 single crochet into every side row. So we already know how to do this, finding our first side row, which is this one for me. I'm going to find that top loop and insert with just 1 single crochet. This is my following side row. I'm going to find that top loop and insert with another single. Continue on with 1 single crochet into every side row. When we don't have any more side rows left to work into, slip stitch into that chain space. But really quickly, we want to make sure that the single crochet row isn't too tight because this is going to be as wide as this portion can stretch. So once when it's completed, try your piece on. If it's too tight, redo some stitches with a looser grip, or if it's too loose, redo some stitches with a tighter grip. So we are back. Our single crochet row is completed. Now from here, we're going to be switching out to a 6mm hook. Then start by making a chain the length that we'd like for the peplum portion to be. I'd like for mine to reach roughly where my hips are, so I'm going to start by making a chain 35, and that's going to be 9 inches or 23 centimeters. Now that we have our chain, we're going to get started on our half double crochet row. Block off that last chain and do a chain 2. That chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch, that's our turning chain. Then put 1 half double crochet into every chain. We've put 1 half double crochet into every chain, now we're going to connect it into the base. So finding that next stitch into the base, insert with a slip stitch. That slip stitch into the base still doesn't count as a stitch. Then slip stitch into that following stitch into the base. Still doesn't count as a stitch, and flip our work. From here, put 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch. So just finding the last stitch from our previous row, in through that back loop with a half double, and put 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch. At the end of the row, chain 2, flip our work, put 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch, and I'll meet you back at the end of our row 3. We are now at the end of our row 3. Now from here we're going to connect it into the base, but it's going to be done just a little bit differently because we want a little bit more floof when it comes to the peplum. So what we're going to do is when we're connecting our odd number row into the base, we're simply going to insert our hook into the stitch that our previous row was coming out of, so it will be occupied. So this is my last occupied stitch. I'm going to connect it into that stitch with a slip stitch. That is normal. That slip stitch still doesn't count as a stitch. Then to work our way up to the following row, slip stitch into that next available stitch. So pretty simple. From here, that slip stitch still doesn't count as a stitch, by the way. Flip our work and then put one back loop half double crochet into every stitch again. And that's it. From here, continue to repeat our 2 previous rows until we don't have any more stitches left to work into. When we don't, I'll meet you back so we can seam it all up together. So we are back. We've made our way all the way around with our back loop half double crochet rows. We don't have any more stitches left to work into, so now we're going to seam everything up together. So first things first, we're going to make sure that our work is flipped wrong side out so that the seam can be along the inside. Then insert our hook into the corner stitch of the front and back panel. Then all we're going to do is yarn over, pull through, do a chain up of 1 to secure. Then to do the first one, finding our first stitch into the front panel, insert, first stitch into the back panel, insert, and single crochet everything together. Again, next stitch into the front panel, insert, next stitch into the back panel, insert, and single crochet, and that's it. We're going to continue on with a single crochet seam till we don't have any more stitches left. When we don't, do a chain up of 1 and cut. We are back and everything is all seamed up. The last thing we're going to do is our straps. So first things first, we're going to try our piece on, making sure that the seam that we have for the top band is in the middle of our back because we want this to be in the middle. Then from here, we're going to insert our stitch markers into any side row within the front where we'd like for the straps to start. I inserted mine roughly where a bra strap or a tank top strap would be, and then along the back panel wherever we'd like for that to connect as well. This could be further out or closer to the center, whatever look you're going for. I just wanted mine to be regular. So if you guys want my numbers, counting from my seam that we have in the back, I inserted my stitch marker into the 13th side row and also into the 43rd side row. And I did the same thing on both sides so that they're along the same side. And I repeated that on the other side as well, just to make sure that everything is looking the same. Then from here, we're going to do a single crochet row along the outer edge, so where the underarm would be, and then make a chain for the strap. So let's get started with my left side, making sure that everything is flipped right side out, right side up. I'm going to start by inserting my 5mm hook into my stitch marker side row. And I'm going to start by putting 1 single crochet into every stitch until I reach my following stitch marker stitch, making sure that we're working away from the seam because we're working within the underarm first. So we've just completed the single crochet portion, working across the underarm portion of our top band, so from stitch marker to stitch marker. What we're going to do from here is make a chain that reaches up and over our shoulder to our back panel stitch marker stitch. Now I've already went ahead and made my chain. I needed roughly 8 inches or 20 centimeters, so I went ahead and made a chain 50, and then once we have our chain, we're going to slip stitch it into that chain space that we made. So we're going to first make sure that our chain isn't twisted for our following single crochet row. But once we know that it's not, insert your hook in through that chain space, yarn over, and pull through everything. And do a chain up of 1 just to secure and cut. Then repeat on the other side for the other strap, and then I'll meet you back to do the last single crochet row to clean up the neckline. We are back. Our 2 straps are completed, and now from here we're just going to single crochet along the inside of our neckline just to clean everything up. So we're going to make sure that our work is flipped right side out, right side up, and I'm going to start by inserting my hook into any one of the side rows that we have along the back panel. Then from here, all we're going to do is 1 single crochet into every side row, 1 single crochet into every chain, and just make your way all the way up and around. And then once we don't have any more stitches left, slip stitch into that chain space and do a chain up of 1 and cut. So we are back. We have just finished up the single crochet row on the inside for our neckline, and we are now all done. Last thing we're going to have to do is just weave in all of our ends. And there you have it. Hope y'all enjoyed the tutorial. Join us on Instagram, Pinterest, or Twitter. Those links are down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Catch y'all in the next one. Bye!